You're making contact, but the ball still dies in the infield or drops weakly into the outfield, and it's frustrating. You're seeing your teammates hit the ball to the outfield, drive the ball in the gaps, and even hit their first or the next home run. And you're stuck wondering, what are you doing? Why aren't you able to drive the baseball just as far as your teammates? So in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly why you're struggling to hit the ball far, what you need to do so you can take your game to the next level. And to give you an example, I'm going to use this player right here who was struggling to hit the ball out of the infield, who lacked confidence and was falling down in the lineup. And now he started to hit the ball to the outfield. He started hitting double, and he just recently just hit his first home run ever. Now, if you're new to this channel, I'm former MLB player Jermaine, and I help players just like you go from making contact to driving the baseball with power. And if you're struggling with your power, I'll put a link below where you can schedule a time with me and my team, and we'll look at your swing and see what's missing so that you can unlock that power and start driving the baseball for extra base hits. So with that said, let's jump right into it. Now, there are three main reasons why players are able to make consistent contact but not hit the ball farther, and I'm gonna walk you through each of those things. Now, the first one is they are optimizing for contact. Basically, what they're doing is they're going up to the plate with the approach and the intent just to put the ball in play and make contact. And you can see this at a youth baseball game. Whenever I go to see some of my players play, what I hear is the parents saying, just put it in play, right? Just make contact. They're saying that all the time. And what happens is the players start to think that too. So they go up to the plate, not thinking to crush the ball or hit for damage, but they're thinking to just make contact, and that makes their mechanics do the same thing, which brings us to the next thing, which is mechanics. So since their thought process is, let me just put in play, let me just make contact, their mechanics get optimized like that as well. And if you look over here on this swing, you can see how he just picks his foot up and then he just takes the barrel to the baseball. Okay, and his thought process was, don't strike out, put in play, make contact. And so his mechanics optimized for that. And then the third thing I would say is that talking to a lot of players is the way they practice. Okay, so what's happening is when they practice, especially at home, they're hitting the ball off a tee and they're hitting it at a low level, right? And they struggle to elevate the baseball because of that, right? So these are the three things that are hindering players from hitting the ball farther, right? They're thinking that they're going into the play thinking, I'm going to make contact, I'm going to put the ball in play. The second thing is, since they're thinking that their mechanics are aligning to that, so they're just standing there looking frozen and just going right to the baseball. And then the third one is how they're practicing at home by themselves. They're hitting off the net, hitting low liners, which turn into ground balls and low liners in the game. So those are the three things. And then that's what happens once they do these things. They're hitting those grounders, they're hitting those low liners that aren't traveling much, right? And then they're falling further down the lineup, right? They're having low confidence because other players are driving the baseball for extra base hits and even hitting their first or their next home run, and they feel like they're not good because they're not getting those results. And I know this because this is exactly what he felt as a player, and many other players feel the same thing. Now, what do we want to do? Well, the first thing is we want to start going up to the plate thinking damage, right? If you're going up to the plate, we want to look for a pitch we can hit hard, and we want to visualize ourselves being able to drive it for a double or even hitting an extra base hit, a home run, right? If you can't visualize yourself having success, you're not going to be successful. So the first thing we want to do is we want to optimize our mindset to be, all right, I'm going to go out to the plate and do damage. The second thing is we want to basically work on the power chain. Okay, and I'll explain that in a second. So the power chain has three levers, and I'll put it over here. Actually, I'll put it right here. So the power chain has three levers. The first one is ground force. Okay, so if you look right here, okay, you can see how he just picks his front foot up and then he just basically swings and goes to the baseball. It's a very simple, repeatable swing, and this is the reason why he was able to make contact consistently, but the ball wasn't flying. Now, you'll see on this side, there's a difference, right? You can see how he's standing similar batting stance, but you can see how now it's as if he's shifting all his weight into his back leg. What I call this is creating ground force. And think of this like you're playing basketball and you're going to take a jump shot. When you start to bend your knees, you're pushing into the ground and you're going to jump up and make that shot. We're doing essentially the same thing in baseball, but we're not leaving the ground. And so you can see here as he starts to load, he loads into the ground. He's standing tall and he starts loading in the ground, right? Because power starts from the ground up. It's just not your bat speed. It's intertwined with everything and it starts from the ground, okay? So the second thing that we want to do after that is the torso accelerator. So you'll see here on this side, okay, there isn't a coil, and if you look at his upper body stays in the same place, right? And then it's just hands to the baseball, okay? Now you'll see here on the opposite side, you can see here that, let me go back, you can see how his torso and his core start to coil, right? He's coiling in over that back leg right here, okay? Right? He's coiling his upper body over that. And what that's doing is storing energy, right? He's going to release it into the ball, but right now he's storing it and he's getting his core activated so he can release it into the baseball, okay? And then the third one is the barrel launch. I'll put that right here, okay? And basically, if you, what happens here is that I see a lot of players that don't use their lower half correctly. Their hands and everything get disconnected, and then they just swing with their upper body. You can see right here when he swings, okay, you can see how barrel just turns to it, and it's just a very handsy type swing, right? Now you'll see here this pitch is up in the zone, but you'll see since he's done everything right, especially coiling, he's creating ground force and then coiling his upper body. You can see that he starts to get that hip shoulder separation and is able to really get into the ball and whip that barrel through. Okay, I'm gonna slow it down real quick so you can see. But yeah, you can see how he's able to get everything into that ball, and that's when all those numbers start to jump up. Okay, and especially in games, start driving the baseball for extra base hits. Now, I do want to add something when it comes to the practice. This is the third lever. So in practice, another thing we did was we changed his launch angle. When he was practicing off a tee, he would be working more low, and we wanted to basically work, slightly upwards through it because doubles basically occur when you're hitting it at a 15 to basically 25-degree launch angle. So if we can optimize to get on plane with it and finish slightly high, slightly upwards through it, then we're going to be able to elevate the baseball well so we can hit those line drives and those towering fly balls. And this is the reason why he was able to start driving the baseball to the outfield. Then he started hitting those doubles, and he now recently just hit his first home run ever. And I'm so proud of this kid because he put in all the work. He did it day in, day out. He went through some adversity, and he's successful now. And this trait is going to, carry on with him for the rest of his life. And I'm pumped for this kid. So with that being said, if you want results like this, I'll put a link below where you can schedule time with me or my team. We can look over your swing or your son's swing and see why he's making contact but not driving the baseball. I bet you one of these things is missing, and that's the reason why he's not able to hit the ball farther. When we started to work with this player, we added 35 feet of distance at first, and then added another 70 feet. That's 105 feet to his hits, and he was able to hit his first home run ever doing the things that I'm sharing with you in this video. And he has a different mindset. He's a different person now, right? He's going up to the plate looking to do damage, and it's going to take him to another level in this game. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button for me if you like this. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.